So hello again. Tonight we're going to talk about the 2024 solar eclipse from the perspective, sort of my location here in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and the United States of America, the USA. So we'll get into the details of that. So as the saying goes, it's happening again. Yep, there's going to be another total solar eclipse. It's Monday, April 8th, 2024. There is a swath of the continental U.S. where it will be a total solar eclipse. For Fort Lauderdale in the southeastern U.S., it will be partial solar eclipse of about 57%. Essentially, the moon will take a chunk out of the sun and then give it back. So this is a good, almost banner slide to show, to explain the solar eclipse. You've got the sun, and then the little white ball, you've got the moon. And then in the background, you've got the Earth, and you can see how the sun shines on the moon. The moon creates a shadow on the Earth, and the shadow has a lighter area and a dark area. The lighter area is the penumbra, and the darker area is the umbra. And then you see the blue marble Earth there on the right, and you see the dark bruise. That's looking around the Pacific Ocean there. So you see Australia down at the bottom, and you go up from there, you see a darkened area, and that darkened area is about as big as the umbra, the shadow, the darker part of the shadow of the moon, and that is about 267 kilometers or 166 miles in diameter, and it zooms across the face of the Earth in kind of a southwest to northeast, kind of a diagonal direction. At over 1,000 miles an hour, 1,600 kilometers per hour, because not only is the Earth rotating, but the moon is going around the Earth, and you add up the velocities, and you get over 1,000 miles an hour. So that's the mechanics of a solar eclipse for the Earth. Here's the path of totality, the blue streak going across there, and as you spread out from that central blue streak, you get less and less of an eclipse. You go from totality or full along that blue line, and as you branch out, you get partial, 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 and then no eclipse.
Where's the best place to see it from?
Any place along that blue line with the circles on it. So
It's going over New York State.
Texas, was that Mississippi, edge of Tennessee, Ohio's pretty good. Some parts of New York State, but
that when we have some eclipse, I don't know if it's a moon eclipse, but people will travel to certain parts of the country to see it.
I did in 2012, 2017. I went to Nebraska with Helen, and we got clouded out. We got clouded out. We got to see the first part of the eclipse and the last part of the eclipse, but the actual totality, we didn't see. It just got dark, cool. We saw lights come on. We heard birds, insects, saw animals heading for the corral, and then everything went back to daylight. But the neatest part was, even though it's completely clouded, since this shadow is moving across the surface of the Earth at about 1,000 miles an hour, if you knew which direction to look as the eclipse shadow was approaching your location, you could actually see the darkness heading your way very quickly and then zooming across past you, and you can see it going the other direction. That was really cool. So anyway, the blue bar there with the blue circles, that's the path of totality. The best place to see it is live online, courtesy of a NASA high-flying aircraft, because then you don't have any clouds to worry about.
Where is it flying?
I don't know. They usually have an aircraft that will be flying. Given the number of NASA complexes in Alabama and Texas, my guess is they'll be flying out of one of those areas. But it doesn't matter where they're flying out of. Just tune to the NASA TV streaming service, or NASA Plus as it's called nowadays. Every streaming service has got to have a plus. I want to call mine Plus Plus, just to be more plus than plus. So the actual stages of the eclipse, now this is all not to scale. The Earth is down at the bottom, and you're looking sort of upwards towards the eclipse, and you can see how the brightness of the sun changes, how the moon starts blocking out the sunlight sort of a little bit from one side, and then it goes off the other side. But this is at an angle. So for example, in South Florida, what you'll see is the moon will start to come in at an angle and sweep over up to about 57% and then come back down. It won't actually go all the way across the sun. It'll just take a slice out of it. So if you screen grab any slide, this is kind of the one. This is the full time of the eclipse, Monday, April 8th. All the times are afternoon or PM, Eastern Daylight Time, aka Daylight Saving Time for Eastern Time Zone. Locally, just refer to it as ET or Eastern Time. So 1:48 p.m. first contact. This is when the moon start to first take a bite out of the sun. It'll be at 199 degrees azimuth in the southwestern sky at an elevation of about 70 degrees. So 0 is the horizon, 90 is overhead. Halfway between the two is 45, so higher than halfway. Easy way to evaluate it. At 3:02 p.m., you'll have the maximum obstruction, and it'll be 57%. And it won't be in the center. It'll be like a glom taken out of one corner of the sun, partial, not total. It'll be in the west-southwestern sky, about 236 degrees azimuth. So not quite due west, but farther around than south or southwest, about 60 degrees elevation. If you want to know if you can see it from where you're at or where you're going to be, take this information anytime during the day, face that direction and see if there's like trees in the way, bushes in the way, buildings in the way. And if there is, find a different location sooner than the day of the event. And then at 4:14 p.m. is last contact. This is when the moon has pulled away and is no longer obstructing any of the sun. That'll be in the west-southwest sky at about 46 degrees elevation. So you can see that it kind of comes up over and then down. It doesn't move farther west all that much. It goes from 236 degrees to 253 degrees. Due west is 270. So that gives you another clue. So regardless of where you're going to be for the day of the eclipse, lots of local places are going to have observing events. There will be online events for TV channels and like NASA TV and such, streaming channels. Like I hear that National Geographic is going to have something. Don't count on eye protection being automatically provided. If you're concerned about such things and you're not going to view it indirectly, then bring your own protection and make sure that it's proper protection, not dark sunglasses. Those won't work.
4 of these work. You put 4 of these.
Okay, if you say so. The myth of welding goggles, that actually doesn't, it blocks out brightness, but it's not going to block out all of the infrared, all of the ultraviolet. If you see logos on the glasses that say ISO, that's the International Standards Organization for Manufacturing, they actually have standards numbers for creation of protective observing material. And they'll either be very shiny silver or kind of a dull, muddy gray-green. If you get them individually packaged and you get like a 5-pack of them or something, you're probably good for the rest of your life because you can always reuse them. It's not like one and then done. They're not disposable. But if they get scratched up, then you want to dispose of them. So in Broward County, I've seen that there's an event on the Lauderhill Town Center's library website. That's out on Oakland Park Boulevard, just west of the first Inverary entrance on the north side of the street. Fox Observatory on their website and on their Facebook page indicates they're going to be doing something, but they're not providing details yet. That's the South Florida Amateur Astronomers Association. Some sites that have telescopes might have the fancy, expensive telescopes, the hydrogen alpha telescopes, and you can look at prominences and flares around the edge of the sun using those. But most telescopes and even binoculars that have proper protection are white light filtered, and therefore you'll be able to see sunspots on the sun, the plage or plaque on the sun. You'll be able to see the light to dark because with proper protection, all you'll be able to see is the brightness of the sun. And as the sun gets dimmer, it might be difficult to see the sun. Because remember, the protective material you have protecting your eyes, it's really only good for looking at one thing, the brightness of the sun. So when the sun stops being so bright, it may go black if you're wearing the glasses. And as I say, I'm working with the Museum of Discovery and Science and Discovery, Discovery and Science, I got that backwards, in downtown Fort Lauderdale to bring a telescope there. We'll probably set something up on their second floor balcony because that gets us above the obstructions of the trees and the buildings, which means you have to be a museum paying guest to get into the building to get up to the second floor balcony. But I'll provide more information once we have that locked in, as the saying goes. So eye safety. As I mentioned, sunglasses, even the polarizing amber or self-darkening types are not sufficient. The protection mechanism should be conformant to the ISO standard, and it might even help to have that conformance verified by the American Astronomical Society, the AAS. Welding glass won't protect you from the ultraviolet. It'll protect you from the brightness, but not everything. A white light filtered solar telescope is probably sufficient. You can even get those kinds of protection for binoculars. You have to buy them to match, though. But the cheapest and easy way to do it is find a tree that has leaves that have little holes in them, and then orient yourself where the leaves on the tree are behind you, and the sunlight is passing through the holes on the leaves onto the ground or onto a nice bright sidewalk, and then you can see just hundreds of individual little solar eclipses. You can also take a pasta strainer or a spaghetti strainer and hold that over your head behind you, tilt it until you can see the sun beaming through it onto a sidewalk or a white piece of cardboard or paper, and you'll once again see lots of little crescents that are the solar eclipse. So indirect observing is cheap, easy, and very safe. So if you want to know what it's going to be like in Fort Lauderdale, it won't get totally dark, as would be the case for somewhere in Texas observing a total solar eclipse. Not expecting the animals to exhibit nighttime behaviors, not expecting insects to engage in nighttime sounds. It might appear overcast dark, kind of like it should be cloudy, but there's no clouds. The sun brightness will decline for maybe 4 or 5 minutes. It might get a little cooler. If it's hot that day in South Florida, it'll be a nice, cool respite because you're not cooking the earth with the sun. So as the humidity is still there and the temperature drops, that may cause the humidity to condense into clouds. So it may be perfectly sunny up until just before maximum. And then at maximum, you might get some clouds rolling through. And then as soon as the sun comes back out, the clouds will go away. So we shall see. Anything that's set to come on at dusk or during darkened storms, those lights and such will probably come on. If there's cars driving around, their headlights and taillights might come on, and then they'll go off as soon as it gets bright again. Even if you're vision impaired and you can't look at the sun, you're, as the saying goes, legally blind, you'll probably experience the temperature drop, the wind pickup. It might get more humid. You may experience some of those features. But as soon as the shadow passes by, things will get back to normal within a matter of minutes. The effect will not last through to the last contact. It'll just be around the maximum. So the eclipse will still be going on for about 45 minutes after the maximum effect occurs. My hope is that people will not be afraid of the eclipse. Hopefully our species has advanced enough where they're no longer the harbingers of doom to be known and understood only by practitioners of the dark arts. Of course, some people see me with a telescope and they think I'm a practitioner of the dark arts, but okay. I'd rather be called a techno-mage, if you know Babylon 5. A solar eclipse is simply a natural occurring event when you get 3 bodies all positioned in their specific manner. And it's fleeting because everything's moving in space. Apparently, we've gone from fearing it as the harbinger of doom to fearing it as the harbinger of financial or legal liability. So I noticed that they're closing some schools along the path of totality in an effort to remove the liability on the part of the school for accidentally causing lifelong visual damage for your child who was dumb enough to look out out the window at the schoolroom at the sun, because the windows of the school are not going to protect you. It's kind of we've moved from the mysticism of eclipses to the liability of eclipses, and I think that's probably why another reason for the zoo hypothesis as opposed to the Fermi Paradox. And I have links at the end should you want to look those things up. Don't use any school closings as a fearful experience to stay indoors for the whole day. If you have a school closing, learn about an eclipse. Pass that information on to your children or onto your neighbor's children. Do something in your neighborhood that does something wisely. Give them a lifelong experience, because the eclipses don't come by all the time, and they'll remember it like I did. I remember the one that I went to and got clouded out when I was in high school. I remember the one I went to a few years back in Nebraska and got clouded out. So I'm staying home this time. Okay. Conclusion. There will be an eclipse of the sun on Monday, April 8th, 2024. If you're lucky enough to be on the path of totality, tell us all about it. It'll be a varying percentage for all the rest of us. For some on the planet, it might be at night. No eclipses at night, except lunar ones. No solar eclipses at night. They'll have to watch it online. In Fort Lauderdale, we're going to get about 57%. First to last touch is about 1 to 4 p.m. Maximum about 57%, right about 3 p.m. for a few minutes. Some sites will be doing public observing. Find all your local observatories, museums, science facilities, some schools, see what they're doing, see what equipment they're going to have for you to use to protect your eyes. And remember, eye safety is your responsibility, regardless of what they might pass off on you. If they're ill-advised, you don't want your eyes to be damaged because they pass their ignorance on to you. So know what's going on. And in case people watch the video because they want to know about solar eclipses, this is me, that guy. And then we have lots of links involving the solar eclipse, this particular solar eclipse, and what solar eclipses are, and eye safety from the American Optical Association, the AOA, get it from the professionals. And then I provided link information to the Lauderhill Town Center Library. And if you want to know where it is, where to find it, and then Fox Observatory, South Florida Amateur Astronomers Association, and then the Museum of Discovery and Science. And like I said, I'm still working with them. Everything looks good so far, but there's lots of forms and paperwork and stuff to be done before we can commit to it, but working on it. And I made reference to Babylon 5, Techno-mages, and Zoo Hypothesis and Fermi Paradox, so links to those. And once I post the video, all the links will be hyperlinks in the video description. Okay. Comments? Questions? Did I miss anything?
Seems like a good opportunity to go out and claim that you caused it and you can become king of the world.
No. You have to ask for money up front. Give me money right now. Give me $20, or I'm going to make the sun go away.
Right.
And you have to,
So
you have to do that about 2:50 p.m. And then when they don't give you, they go, I'm not giving you any money. And the sun goes away.
That's
and
right.
then they quickly reach in their wallet and they give you the $20 and you go, okay, now I'll bring the sun back. And the sun comes back out. So
And you'll be a hero. Yeah.
no, you'll be arrested for fraud.
I wonder what the
So all these years,
falsely claiming you caused an eclipse.
Now, when they start sending those big
so all
satellites,
these years I've been using welding glass.
what was that?
So all these years I've been using welding glass to look at the eclipse, thinking I'm safe.
Your microphone's.
Because I went to they told me what number to get. I went to a welding shop and bought a little square.
That's not going to protect you from the ultraviolet. That's just going to protect you from the brightness. People
How
have
long is
used
looking-
them. People have used them, but talk to the American Optician Society, and you're going to find that they don't recommend welding glass. Of course, eventually welding glass is going to go the way of the dodo, because now you have the electronically controlled LCD shutter hoods that are much lighter in weight. And when the arc starts, they flip to black very quickly. And therefore, you're not bumping into anything when you're not welding. I've been doing solar observing for more than a few decades with telescopes and binoculars and things like that. So I haven't blinded anybody yet, but I keep trying. Okay, any comments or questions before I stop recording? Hearing nothing.